The following show is a paid program.
15 minutes or 10 minutes or so, we're going to do giveaways, and we'll tell you how we'll do that. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube. You'll see all the shows, you'll see all the events and things that we'll have. But Dr. Letitia Plummer, Houston City Council member at large, position 4, and she is a dentist. Hey, lady, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Cam. How are you? It's so good
I'm
to see you.
excited.
Happy
I'm
New Year.
excited. Happy New Year. So she was going to be on Inauguration Day. We had planned it, and it was the conflict in time because the inauguration was going on at the same time.
I know. And with everything happening
Yes,
at the Capitol is just one of those moments. So
it
it's
is.
good. It's good. Now we see everything that's, being put in action. So I'm glad we're meeting now. This is awesome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Everybody asks the same question. You have a correlation with both the Vice President Harris, and a lot of those coincide. Let's talk first about that, which is exciting.
Yeah, it really is. My mother is also Indian, half Arab, and my dad is Black American, and so having that similarity to our vice president is really phenomenal. It reminds me of how difficult it is to kind of find that balance between the two,
Right.
especially when you have all these independent groups, right? And so getting everyone to come on the same page and not looking Indian enough, not looking Black enough, like all that
Right.
space and being a woman
Mm-hmm.
in politics,
Mm-hmm.
those are all complicated. So for her to be able to pull all that off is really phenomenal.
Also, she's part of the same sorority you're part of.
Yes, actually, we're both from Alpha Kappa Alpha, but we're also Link sisters. So
Yes.
I'm also part of Links Incorporated. Yes, so we have a lot of similarities. It's amazing. It really is.
I love that part about it. In doing so, I always ask the first question: how did you decide the career of dentistry, first of all, and how did you get started? What did you think? What were you doing? I know.
Sure. But honestly, Cam, I don't think I had much of a choice. my, my father was very intentional about what he wanted his oldest daughter to do.
Right.
So I was in the dental office since I was 12 years old.
Hmm.
And I was just suctioning and cleaning instruments. And so I started in dentistry really early. And I think my father just, recognized, and I was lucky to have him as a mentor at such a young age. So really dentistry is all I know. And then I went to DeBakey, which is now which when I was there, high school for health professions,
Hmm.
and was able to do my internship with him. And I love dentistry. I love the science of it, but I'm also very artistic. And so I found that I could blend that science background, that kind of loving on people and taking care of people, but also the artistic side of making beautiful teeth.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And I looked and I saw something so exciting. Your grandfather did a lot of things. You had a legacy of a lot of people that have been here in Houston.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I wasn't born here. I was born in Boston. My dad was actually in dental school at Harvard, and so my mom was a room mother at Wellesley, and so we lived actually on campus. But so I'm not originally from Houston, but raised here my entire life. I don't know anything other than Houston. But yeah, so my grandfather was one of the first African American judges in the state of Texas. He was the attorney for Muhammad Ali. I don't know if you remember, but Muhammad Ali had some problems here in Houston. He was an attorney for him. He assisted in desegregating the Harris County jail system. So no, my grandfather was amazing. And so I definitely have very, very big shoes to fill. But my dad too. I mean, my dad was the first African American to be accepted into Harvard without an application. He's, so there are a lot of firsts in our family,
Right.
and so I find myself following those footsteps. I'm the first, African American female Muslim to ever sit on city council in the state of Texas. So I believe that, as firsts, we have a lot of
Right.
responsibility. A lot of people are watching us and making sure that we kind of continue to carry that torch for all of humanity at this point.
Absolutely. The reason I wanted you on so bad is because of those things. The first, we're getting ready to go into February. We call that Black History Month, but we know we're Black History 365 days a year. And that's what
Yes.
I love about this statement. I love the fact, even in politics, now that you've gotten in Houston City Council, you were determined, and I love that. I love that. I love the service that you do for people. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that part of first, why Houston City Council and why now?
Sure. So, Kim, I wasn't expecting, although there were so many people in my lives that were politically involved.
Mm-hmm.
So, my brother's godfather is the late Congressman Mickey Leland. And so, our commissioner, Rodney Ellis, um, our late Keith Wade, there were so many people in my life that were integrally a part of our families. I saw
Mm-hmm.
these conversations happening within my household. Congressman Al Green, these are all very good friends of my dad. And so growing up, I saw politics. I never thought in a million years I would be a politician. And I don't
Right.
really call myself
Right.
uh, people say I'm growing into one, but I don't know if I don't want to be. I'm not sure if I want to be a politician, but um, I think that God has put things in your life
Yes.
that make you tilt and shift into certain spaces. And
Mm.
so in 2014, I had an interesting situation in my personal life
Yeah.
that found I found myself fighting for women that consider surrogacy as an alternative way of building their families. And so that's really where I got my start. I am an activist for adoptive parents. I'm an activist for women that are infertile and unable to create families. In the more natural ways, but want to still have children.
Mm-hmm.
And so I changed legislation with the assistance of our Representative Joe Desatel out of Beaumont and Senator Boris Miles. I was able to get some legislation changed when it comes to gestational agreements with the state of Texas. And so, in many ways, and what we're finding now is science, is more advanced, right, than our laws are. And so it's important to make sure that those balance out. And so that's really where I got my start. And what I realized in that experience was changing laws isn't so hard. It just
Yes.
takes a lot of determination and passion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so after that happened, I got bit by the bug. I mean, that's really what happened. And what I find, people look at it and they're like, "God, you're so busy. You've got your dental practice, you got your politics." What I find is, I think I'm naturally an activist, and so I'm a problem solver. And so in my mind, it just gives me the other side of balance. And
Right.
so I can fight for people, I can change legislation, but on the dental side, I can be compassionate and loving and caring and be able to take care of the needs of my patients. And so I love it. I feel more balanced now than I ever have in my entire life.
Trust me, family, she's being very modest because in 2014 she gathered all women to go on to bust them down to Austin. She had
I
a
did. I
caravan of
did.
women. It was a caravan of women, not just on buses. They were driving, they were getting there. They had filled the Capitol, I'm telling you.
Yes.
And she was not in
Yeah, we
politics at the
did.
time. You weren't even in politics.
No, 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 no. And this is one message I love to share with people and want people to know. There could be devastating things that happen in your life,
Yeah.
and we experience them all the time. But I do believe that God gives us what we can handle, and I do believe, like as my grandmother says, you can always turn lemonades into lemonade, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
lemons into lemonade. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's really the perspective of what we look at. And if I didn't have that personal experience in my life, that was devastating, by the way, I would never be sitting in front of you having these amazing conversations.
Right.
I would never have been at large representative for over 3 million people in Houston. And so I do believe we keep those things in mind, but every Black woman that you see that is a change maker, either on publicly or in her own particular
Hmm.
community, it's a struggle, and I think we need to acknowledge them.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that. The other part of that, people didn't know or people don't know what at large really means because that is really huge. Let's talk about that. What Houston City Council member at large, what does that mean?
Sure. So we have, because this city is so large,
Hmm.
we have district members which are specifically responsible for a particular area. And then you have five at large members they're almost like mini mayors in a lot of ways. So we are responsible for the whole entire city. So I find my position twofold. One, I'm a full supporter of my district members because as an at-large member, I know that my district members know exactly the pulse of what's happening in those particular communities. And I'm here to support them, give them a little bit of power behind them, whether it being wanting to change an ordinance or a policy, or just a cleanup in the community, or getting a community center built or a library redone, whatever that looks like. My goal is to assist them in that manner. And then the other piece is really being able to be in this diverse city, touch multiple different areas that may not be specific to one. So let me give you an example, Cam. So in District B, uh, which is like the Acres Homes area, we call them the food deserts, right? They're areas where there are no grocery stores. Well, we might not have that same situation in District C, which is more like your Meyerland area. And so I can find a project that I'm working on in one particular place that rings to that community that may not ring to another one. And so I
Hmm.
really do have a lot of options in terms of what I want to fight for and the policies I want to change. And then after district members, obviously you have your administration, which is your mayor. And we are a strong mayoral form of government, which means we don't have a city manager like other cities do,
Hmm.
for example, Austin. And so the mayor determines our agenda. What he puts on the agenda is what we basically vote for. But what power we do have is, when we do look at those agenda items, asking the hard questions. If we're wanting to do amendments to those agenda items, making our requests to our administration and asking for those, which we've done in multiple occasions.
Hmm.
And so, that's in a very short snippet, that is
Right.
kind of how we're arranged in the city of Houston.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that because many people need to know how city government works and also when we go
Mhm.
out and vote locally what it really means. Because each time we're getting ready to go vote in May 2021 and then we'll vote 2022, we'll vote for a governor of Texas. So and then of course a host of others. But we need to let people know first of all what does it mean to vote as far as why does our vote really count? Let's talk about that too.
Sure. So, what I find is, so of course, at large members and council members just in general are nonpartisan positions, which means we don't represent a specific side.
Right.
And I really do love that, honestly, because I'm more of an issue driven person. And so it allows me to stay on target in terms of what's important, like we mentioned before, what's important in specific areas and speaking that language and not really focusing on a side, because often what we're seeing now is the incredible level of polarization that we're seeing in terms of
Yes.
parties.
Hmm.
And so it really does give us a lot of flexibility in terms of that. And so, voting matters, but people have to believe in the person they're voting for
Hmm.
and the issues in which the person stands for.
Hmm.
And as you see, and as a lot of us see, politics gets to be really complicated. The lines are pretty blurry in terms of what we're standing for as a person and what the community stands for. And finding that balance between the two of them, being able to really speak and your voice being what the community needs is really the special part about that. And I believe that once we do that, then people are going to vote more. And they're not going to vote from an emotional perspective, like we saw in this last election. They're just
Right.
angry.
Right.
They're going to vote from a place of, okay, this person speaks my language. We may not agree on every single thing, but all of us have heard of the 80-20 rule, right?
Right.
There's 80% of things that have to be okay, the
Yeah.
20% we can't worry
Hmm.
about. But as long as we're speaking the language of what's important to the communities and what they believe in, then we're going to continue to see an uptick in voting. And I believe this new administration is really keeping their promise in many ways with
Hmm.
the executive orders that they put through. And so that's going to inspire people to want to get out and vote again because they see the promises made coming to fruition.
I love when we go out and I see you all the time. I see you out, helping people, especially pre-COVID, definitely pre-COVID, just helping in issues that were doing, feeding you fed a lot of people. My God. I mean, just people don't know that. But I mean, you had a lot of beyond food drives, you had just giving food away, like food, like making
We
food.
did,
Let's talk about that
did.
and why. Because a lot of people, yeah, 40 million people are
Yeah,
unemployed.
absolutely. And so very early on, I remember being on the horseshoe and asking our mayor, listen, I know that we're going to have problems with COVID.
Yeah.
My goal is how do we work through those problems? What is the plan, right? What does the fallout look like? And what are the solutions that are associated to that? Very quickly, I realized that people were losing their jobs. And because our community centers were places where our seniors were able to get lunches and dinners, those were then closed. Uh, I created an organization called Feed the Need. And so, what we were able to do, which was so exciting,
Yes.
we were able to get your top chefs in the city of Houston. Because remember, our restaurants were closing, right? And
Hmm.
I wanted to figure out a way, how do we keep those restaurant names out there? How do we give them something positive to do in a time of crisis? Because it always makes you feel better and warm inside when you're doing something for other people. And then how do we make sure we get out to the communities? And so we created the pop-up kitchens. And
Yes.
so we served over 250 meals a day for a 6-week period. And then we popped up in different areas in the city. But it was not me by myself. It was my team at the city of Houston. It was 15, 20, sometimes 30 volunteers. It was amazing chefs that came on board that literally cooked for free.
Yes.
Our donations covered the food costs, but the chefs, they came into the kitchen over at Seaside, which is in the downtown area. And I want to thank Mario for allowing us to literally use his kitchen for 6 weeks with no charge, just for free. And we had drive ups and we served hot meals every single day. It was supposed to last for a week, and it lasting 6 weeks.
Right, absolutely. We'll do this. We'll take a break and we'll be right back with Dr. Letitia Plummer.
We'll be right back to the Cam Hill Show after these messages.
Light up your new year with a top-rated luxury SUV from Ron Carter Cadillac. Drive the new 2021 XT4 Luxury Collection for $319 a month, the new 2021 XT5 Luxury Collection for $399 a month, or the new 2021 XT6 Luxury Collection for $459 a month. All for 39 months lease with just $1 down. Gulf Freeway, just 2 minutes south of the Beltway.
Shop smarter when you shop Ron Carter. RonCarterCadillac.com.
When it comes to protecting yourself and your partners, all the information out there can be overwhelming. Visit our website. We are a free and confidential service striving to help you stay informed and stay notified. We are committed to a healthy Houston.
Amazing things for you.
And now back to the Cam Hill Show.
Hey, thank you, family, for coming back. We're right back with Dr. Letitia Plummer. Dr. Plummer, we were talking about Houston City Council. We were talking about what you were doing when COVID first started. And my God, you did every single day for 6 weeks. You were doing the actual real like lunches, food.
We did. And it was interesting because what we created, in many ways, during slavery, right? We all hear about Harriet Tubman and how she created
Right.
that the railroad, right? In many ways, I kind of felt like we were doing that because people would come to Seaside and they would pick up 25 or 30 meals.
Yes.
And then they would take those meals and distribute them within their communities.
Hmm.
And it was just amazing because we created this connection between the kitchen and the communities and really putting hot foods on the table. Because what a lot of us don't really realize is that during COVID, your lights could have been turned off, water could have been turned off. So even though the food bank did a phenomenal job in giving, fresh foods to our residents, some people didn't have an opportunity to cook it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So getting a hot meal in a plate with silverware ready to go just made a huge difference. It really helped our homeless population as well. But this was specifically created for unemployed folks and seniors. Those
Absolutely.
what I found the moment COVID happened, those were the two population groups that were the most affected at that moment in time.
Absolutely. I heard so many great things about it. I had a lot of people in the community say, my God, how they, were excited about it, how it was such a huge need at the time, and how quickly you put it together.
Yes, it was a phone call. I remembered being on a call with one of our community leaders from um, scenic woods area,
Yes.
and I just heard the seniors that were on the phone talking about how are they going to eat? Those are like these
Yes.
questions. And I felt so heavy when I got off that phone call. I called my good friend, Chef Wendell Price, and I said, Chef, can you help me? Do you have any ideas of how we can get this thing done? He called Mario, he got me Seaside, and then that was it.
Yeah.
Called another friend, Jenny Gustafson. She works for a PR firm that represents a lot of restaurants in the area. They got on board. It just happened literally, I think within like 20, 30 hours, we were
Yes.
done. Logo
Yes.
was done by good friend Eddie Sajid. He did our logo. I mean, it just happened really fast, but it was necessary. And I believe when you're doing good work and work that helps people from a good space, I do believe that God just kind of clears the way and it all just comes together. And that's what happened with Feed the Need.
Absolutely. And in that, just thinking about that, many people I see, or it seems that they don't really understand that COVID-19 is really real. COVID is real. People are still not wearing the masks. People are still not social distancing. People are still, they just don't, because they may have not gotten it. They don't
Mhm.
understand the asymptomatic part of it. They don't understand that, like people are carrying it. They just, it doesn't seem like it's resonating still.
Yeah, Kim, I see that all the time.
Yes, I know.
And it's overwhelming
Yeah.
because obviously I had COVID. I
Hmm.
was down for 44 days.
Yes.
Um, Personally, I believe that I was one of the first patients with COVID that had the gastrointestinal
Yes.
symptoms.
Hmm.
So we were hearing the CDC, we were hearing cough, fever, those types of things,
Right.
tiredness, weakness in the body.
Hmm.
I had the complete opposite. I
Right.
had no fever, right? I
Hmm.
had diarrhea, vomiting. My oxygen saturation never changed. So when I just thought that I ate something bad because the
Right.
CDC was putting
Hmm.
out something completely different. I
Hmm.
honestly didn't even know. Now, I know that I've been around a lot of people during my pop-ups, but
Yeah.
I was adamant
Yes, you were.
about
Yeah.
keeping. I mean, I was on it. I mean, I brought
Yeah.
it. I ordered it in advance. I made sure every single one of our volunteers were gloved up and masked up. And so, just because I'm in the medical space anyway, so I had access to all of that,
And
all of
you had
those,
already
all
been
that.
tested. You had been tested over and
Oh
over
yes,
all the time. I
absolutely.
knew that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so but I kept my distance. I was very,
Yes.
very conscious. And even all of
Hmm.
our volunteers were and that's why I was so proud that, when I did get COVID, I called all 20 of my volunteers, checked in with them, got
Right.
all of them tested, and no one had it. So I was obviously, that was probably heading on me more than anything else.
Right.
But with saying that, the reason why no one got COVID is because we did and took all the proper precautions.
Right.
We made sure that we were protected. And when I had my mask on, I was very clear. I wasn't protecting myself. I was
Right.
protecting my neighbor. Right. And that is what people have to continue to understand. And this was before there was a mask mandate. This was
Right.
before you had to wear a mask in the grocery stores. We weren't, this is when it all first went down. Right.
Right. Right.
And so so I'm so proud of us. I'm so glad that we handled it the right way. But I believe that that was proof of, if we did and we walked around this city and our nation and our country in the same way with the same intention, I do believe that we would not see the spread that's happening.
Right.
Because you're exactly right, Pam. 75% of the people that have COVID are asymptomatic,
Right.
which means they don't have one symptom. That is why this virus spreads so fast, because if you don't know you have it, then you don't know you're spreading it.
Right.
And that's why you have to put a mask on, and you have to treat it in the same manner that you would if you did have a symptom. And once we get that part of it, then we're going to be able to get the numbers down. But we're, upwards of 17% in the city of Houston right now. And we're not going to get a hold of this with the new virus strands popping up. We're not going to get a hold of this unless we're more responsible personally.
Absolutely. I love that. And I love what you did. Immediately when you felt something different, you immediately said, no, I'm going home. I'm going to immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, and it was interesting. I'm going to tell you a funny story. I was the only person on council wearing a mask. I'm not sure if y'all remember that.
Yes.
And someone walked up to me and said, "Council member, that's not really good optics." And I looked at the person and I said, "Do you understand that I am not only a doctor and a dentist that takes care of patients every day? I'm a mother, and a business owner, and I have a responsibility. So it may not look great that I have a mask on right now, but very quickly, all of you are going to realize you're going to mask up."
Yes. Yes.
And so I was wearing a mask, I was the first one to wear a mask on council. I was the first one to let and allow my team to go and work remotely.
Yes.
Because we weren't sure about all of these.
Right.
And so as a medical professional, you have to be proactive and preventive. And so I'm so glad that that I had the experience and the medical mindset, right, to make those right decisions.
Absolutely. And not only that, what I loved, you protected families. I don't think we understand that. When we are protecting each other, then we go and protect our own family,
Absolutely. And you hear so much about how COVID is spreading so heavily in areas, where people of color. Well, a lot of that has to do with, we're first line responders, we're essential workers, we have grandma and auntie and our nieces and nephews living in one household. So we live in a multi-generational household, which means that everyone's coming home to one space. We are we live in apartments at a higher percentage, which means we're in smaller spaces. And so it's harder for us to go in and isolate someone when you live in a 2-bedroom apartment and 5 people live there. And then the healthcare inequities. We have more comorbidity than any other racial group, right? And so if you're fighting diabetes and high blood pressure and you don't have a community healthcare center in your community or area, then maybe you're not getting the medications. We've got food deserts. We're not eating well. We don't have the level of immunity as someone does in a community where you do have good grocery stores and pharmacies, and you're seeing your doctor regularly. And so there's so many pieces that just put us in plight. And so this is not our first pandemic, right? Our pandemic is healthcare inequities. Our pandemic is violence. Our pandemics are, lack of good educational, structures in our communities. We as Black people have dealt with this over and over and over again, right? And so what I want us to do is use this opportunity to start creating foundational support so that when we do experience these things, no matter what it is, whether it be COVID or high blood pressure, we know how to take care of our communities.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that. The other thing is supporting each other. You push that quite a
Mhm.
bit in unity. We, as far as collaboration and to unite together during this time and really work and support other businesses that look like us and just do what, just to support each other.
No, no, absolutely. So my good girlfriend of mine, Nishi Burns and Deanna Protho, they're good friends.
Yes.
We are all, business owners, and what we did was we created an organization called Her Wealth.
Hmm.
And so during COVID, we wanted to support women of color in business, entrepreneurs, and so we have a network of women that are on our website where you can go one place. You can purchase from them. You can support women of color that have their own businesses. We've got a crowdfunding mechanism because we also have the most difficult time going to the bank and getting
Right.
loans or funding. So we're creating a network of micro lending that we can create within our network as well. But there's training and network events and all kinds of things that allow women of color to have the support that we need. So this is another good thing that's come out and been birthed out of COVID,
Hmm.
because if you are doing the work during this time, if you're doing the personal trainings and that you need to do, you're just going to come out of this a stronger business owner in a lot of ways. But we have to get through it, right? And
Absolutely.
so yeah, these are the kinds of things that I believe a lot of people are creating, and that's how we're all coming together and we're pushing through, and we're going to be able to survive this and come out better on the other side.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because we had talked about Vice President Harris and we had talked
Mhm.
about what she meant to women. Let's talk about that and how, because you advocate for women, you advocate especially for all women, but especially for African American women. And just to see her being the first vice president and being an African American woman to be the first vice president woman was a whole different thing. Let's talk about on that day and today what that means for women.
Oh my gosh, Cam. I mean, it's not just the women, it's
Yeah.
the girls.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
it's the girls that are watching us.
Mm-hmm.
I look at my nieces, and I feel like in many ways is when Obama won, what it did for
Yes.
young black boys.
Yes.
It's just knowing in your mind that something is not only possible, it's real. It
Yes.
just makes the fairy tale come off out the book, in real technicolor.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing. And and so many of my other sisters have run for office and have heard all the naysayers in your ear. And
Yes.
how can you be a single mom and work a job and still still run for politics? And I'm like, well, you don't ask the dads that. you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Right.
Women naturally, right? Naturally have a more difficult time. We don't make as much as our counterparts. It's just so many other struggles that we have to endure. We have to be better and stronger and bolder, but we can't be angry. It's a
Yes.
balance. And so it's just like this constant balancing act that we do. We love being moms, and so we don't want to not go to a game because we have to do so. It's just this balance that we have to create. And
Mm-hmm.
so seeing my sister,
Yeah.
as vice president is just like a breath of, oh my God, we did it finally.
Yeah.
Now the hose is like wide open.
Right.
You can't tell us no anymore. And so it's so inspiring. I don't know all of her personal struggles, but I know
Yeah.
a good bunch of them.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of my sisters out there do too. And we just have to keep on pushing and keep on inspiring our young girls that this is this is now the vice president. We
Yes.
got to retire now. Like, we just have to
Yes.
keep on breaking that glass ceiling.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you spoke of that because we still have so many firsts. As African
Oh, yeah.
Americans, we still have first. In 2021, can you imagine we still have first? Wow.
Yeah, we have a long way to go. And
Yeah.
what we have to also do is not only do we have to be the first,
Yeah.
but when you're the first, everyone is watching even more than before.
Right.
And so you really have to make sure that you take action on the promises that you made. They're not just, I mean, we say campaign promises all the time, but this is very, very real because people are watching. And we want to make sure when 4 years is over, no one can come back and say, well, she said she was going to do this and she didn't.
Right.
You know, all the naysayers, we have to, which is a lot more pressure on us to deliver. And so it's the first, but it's when the fight starts.
Right.
It's when the true work actually starts. And when you have that level of responsibility, the sky's the limit. I'm just excited. I am so excited.
Right.
For whoever gets to these 22 races and the 21 races,
Right.
I'm just excited. I really, really am.
And what I love
And I'm
about
proud.
that, yeah, absolutely. What I love about it is that when we were just talking about it, we were talking about the fact of breaking, the ceiling, but we were also talking about, like you said, young people, but never give up. That has been every time I talk to you, you say, never give up. And, it's my motto here, but you say, keep going. And I know your dad really just was like, yeah, keep on going, keep going,
You have to, and you've got to be fearless in a lot of ways.
Yes.
You just can't, I believe, oftentimes people say they're the 1% because they're the 1%, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why it's not the 99%.
Right.
And it's the 1% because, on your show, my hair is done and my makeup's done. But there's struggles every single day that you don't see on social media, that we don't know what happens in the back room, right? And that's what we have as women, we continue to support each other. Every day, I may have a little bit of doubt in my mind. Is this possible? When people are telling me not to run for Congress, run for something lower and smaller so you can build your way up. You have to kind of dismiss those ideas and concepts and say, no, I know I have something to offer right now. And my loss wasn't a loss. It was a win because now I get to represent the city of Houston, which is more people than I would have done if I was representing District 22. And so I call it the noise. Just eliminate the noise, right? Do the work to prepare yourself for what you want, and it will come to you.
Right.
It just will.
Right.
And when it does, everyone will be surprised. And you're like, oh no, I knew it was going to happen.
Yes. I
did the work, right?
Yes, absolutely. I remember Denzel Washington mentioning that even if you fell in love 9 times, if you were trying to find love and you didn't, the 9th time, nobody knew. You know what I'm saying? You fell in love. If you tried to get your degree, all of that time and you kept failing at the state board or whatever, nobody knows. You're either the dentist or you're the attorney or you're whatever, you're already that. You have the degree. You know what I mean? They don't know what you went through. So don't worry about that. Just keep going at it. That's what I love.
Exactly.
That's what I love about you. When you ran, you still ran again. And then you won.
Oh yeah, you don't stop. Yeah, no, you don't stop, and you keep on building on what you did before. And I believe our young people, they oftentimes everything's so fast for them.
Yes.
And I worry for them sometimes, and I pray for them often because the things that really have value and worth, they take a lot of effort. They're not going to happen in 2 seconds, And so teaching my boys that the immediate gratification isn't real when it comes to reaching your dreams, right? And so, and being prepared and staying prepared is really crucial. And our young people just oftentimes have a hard time understanding that. And that is something I know a lot of parents are teaching their kids and pouring into their children, that everything that's worth it is true. Doesn't happen easily, right? You have to put in the work, but staying prepared is better than trying to get prepared when that time is comes of essence.
Absolutely. Let's do this. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
We'll be right back to the Cam Hill Show after these messages.
Light up up your new year with a top-rated luxury SUV from Ron Carter Cadillac. Drive the new 2021 XT4 Luxury Collection for $319 a month, the new 2021 XT5 Luxury Collection for $399 a month, or the new 2021 XT6 Luxury Collection for $459 a month. All for 39 months lease with just $1 down. Gulf Freeway, just 2 minutes south of the Beltway.
Shop smarter when you shop Ron Carter. RonCarterCadillac.com.
When it comes to protecting yourself and your partners, all the information out there can be overwhelming. Visit our website. We are a free and confidential service striving to help you stay informed and stay notified. We are committed to a healthy Houston.
Amazing things for you.
And now back to the Cam Hill Show.
Hey family, how you doing today? On this segment of the show, we're going to be doing some giveaways. We're going to talk to Dr. Plummer, but we also will be doing some giveaways during this time. Write down a number that you think between 1 and 50, and we will announce that winner on the show. We'll do that on Monday, so you got time right now. Between 1 and 50, write down your number. Hey lady, how you doing?
Doing great, Cam, doing great.
You got to give us your number. Don't give it out loud. I'll get it after the show.
Okay, I got it.
Between 1 and 50. Yeah, between
okay,
1 and 50.
I got it.
So anyway, we were just talking about running for office, Houston City Council, just women in general, and what it really means, because women are killing it now. What I just found out not too long ago when Stacey Abrams and everybody, when we were talking about Georgia, just talking about African American women are really the lead in voting.
Oh yeah, we are. We are. My gosh, we are. And what that means to me is that if we are going to be the ones that are responsible for putting people in office, we have to make sure our ask list is very, very clear and concise, because we need things done in a different way. And so I love the fact that women are kind of coming together and putting that list of what they're expecting their elected officials to do, and focusing on issues that really do affect Black women in a lot of ways. But yes, we are a huge voting bloc. We are doing the thing. And it's amazing. It's so good. It's a good time. It's always a good time to be a Black woman, but it's a time. It is. Because the boldness. I mean, my grandmother's 98, and she's still, oh my gosh, she's like major. And she's so it's always amazing being a Black woman in America, but it's really phenomenal now. Like, we've got some real options ahead of us right now. And these young girls are going to just handle their business in so many ways. And so, it's great. It's Absolutely. A good day, Cam.
It is. It really is a good day. It's a good day. What I love about you, your grandmother came, and what's her age, your grandmother's age?
So she's 98.
And she came and saw that you were a city councilwoman.
Yeah, she escorted me across the stage during inauguration. It was so awesome. It was so awesome. Now, she's amazing. I'm her namesake, and I love her so much. I really did. I learned so much from her. I took her to go vote for the first time, and she was so cute. She was like, Tisha, I remember when I couldn't vote, and I remember when it was a lawsuit because we went to go vote, and I was so confused on why I could not go vote, and she said she wanted to watch the lady put that mail ballot in that box. I mean, she stuck her head out the car, and she made sure that her ballot went in that box. She's like, I want my vote to count. So she just remembers the struggle, right? She remembers
98
when
years.
that was option. 90, yeah. So, I mean, she just is very clear on how far we've become. I mean, how far we've come, and still noting how far we have to go. And so, but she's amazing. I'm very lucky to have her still. I really am.
Absolutely, because think about it. She finally saw the first African American president and now African
Yes,
American vice president, and her being a
yes.
woman. Yeah,
No, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, she went through the depression. I mean, this pandemic reminds her of going through the
right,
depression from a financial stock market. She just remembers what she had to deal with as her family, the rationing that they had to deal with. And she
absolutely.
often tells us, listen, I know y'all don't know the depression, but now is time for you to work smart, hold your money, don't overspend. People are starving. And she's right. I mean, the
Right,
lines of that they for food banks giveaways and all of the beautiful things so many of our community leaders and elected officials have done around the city to make sure that people have what they need has really been terrifying in a lot of ways. Our kids,
hmm,
having to go to school remotely. I mean, there's so many people. We have the highest amount of children now. They're not even in school
right,
because of the divide.
hmm,
Wi-Fi is not something that everyone has,
right,
and so we don't know what that's going to look like in the end. But luckily, the
hmm,
vaccine is here. The city is doing the best they can to making
right.
sure that as many people are vaccinated as possible. So,
In talking to you very quickly, it's not a lot. We talked about a lot of things, but with the city council and what you guys are doing a really great job at what you can do. During this time. Because it's so many people. It's just a lot of people, and people don't realize that. During that time, we just don't realize the capacity or the amount of people during this time. There's also where if people need help or assistance with rent, that's already
mhm.
out there. People don't know that, and they can look it up on the website.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Kim, if I
Yeah,
could,
yeah,
let me give a little bit of structure into that part of a conversation.
right.
So, everyone has to remember we didn't get any federal guidelines during
Mm-hmm.
COVID.
Mm-hmm.
We were all figuring it out by ourselves, city by city, town by town, village by village. Now with the new administration, we are getting a lot more support and assistance. And so I want the city and our constituents to know that as things come down to us, we are putting it out there. We just opened Del Mar Stadium for vaccinations. UMMC helped a lot with opening up a lot of our COVID testing sites, and so now we have a large vaccination location at Del Mar. We have Bayou City is another location that we're doing vaccinations. We're utilizing Minute Maid Park. I mean, the administration is really doing their level best. The moment we get vaccines, we're getting them out to our communities.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to find locations of where you can find your vaccine, please go to the Houston Health Department's website. Everything's there in terms of how to register. Also, contact your primary care physician. All of our hospitals are getting vaccines as well. And so you can go on that list too. Just be patient. Know that even if you get a vaccine, you still have to mask up because they're double dose. You have to get 2 doses, one and then one 4 weeks later. And so you have to make sure you get both. And so there are two of them right now. We've got a Moderna vaccine and a Pfizer vaccine. The city of Houston is doing Moderna. And the reason is because it doesn't have as many limitations in terms of transport and storage that the Pfizer does. So Pfizer is primarily going to our hospitals in the medical center because they've got, you know, more access to storage, and our health department is primarily doing the Moderna one. And then we are looking for Johnson & Johnson to release a single dose vaccine, which we're waiting for now, which is going to allow us to get it to people that are immobile. And
Mm-hmm.
so folks that are like homebound or seniors that do not have transportation. So that is going to be really helpful to put our mobile units out that the administration is trying to pull together now with the health department. So I just want people to know that we were able to successfully create a really nice infrastructure for testing. We're now going to layer on that infrastructure and add more to create access for vaccines. Our federal government is giving them to the state. The state is then disseminating them to us. And so we're not getting them directly from the federal government. So that's also another piece to keep in mind. But we're trying to make sure that we look out for marginalized communities to make sure that they get what they need. But it has to be done based on CDC guidelines in phases.
Absolutely.
But the health department is your go-to place to make sure you can find out exactly where those vaccines are being released and then what phase you fall in.
Absolutely. What would you like to leave with the viewers?
Oh, just stay prayerful and hopeful. Know that Houston is incredibly resilient. We have gotten through so much. Harvey is what is probably more on our minds than anything else. But we are a city that is unstoppable, and we have an administration that cares, and you've got council members that are truly passionate about what they do and the work that they do. So know that we are speaking for you. If you need to speak with me directly, you can always email me at large4@houstontx.gov. All of the access when it comes to your healthcare needs, go to the health department's website, the City of Houston's health department's website, and you can find what you need. But know that we are working diligently. We're working hard to make sure that every single person in Houston and the surrounding areas is vaccinated. So take care of yourself, take care of your families, and please max up.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for everything, lady. I have the gifts that we're going to be giving away from Blessie's Boutique. She is at 18309 FM 529. It is a hoodie. Hoodies for Healing is what she does. Rosemary Tucker, shout out to her. We have a gift card from Gracie's, $25 gift card. Yeah, we're out here doing it. So on our day with Dr. Letitia Plummer, thank you, lady, for everything that you do. Keep going and keep striving. I appreciate you so much. God bless you and God keep you.
Oh, bless you too. Thank you so much, Cam. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed spending time with you.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon. Hey, we will be back on Monday. We have Pamela Jones. She's CEO and founder of a TV show as well as a radio show. We'll talk to you then, 12:30, 1:30 Central Standard Time. Bye.